Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Nitya Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitya Gaura Haribol, Nitya Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitya Gaura Haribol. Shri Nrsimha Bhagwan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Thank you all so much for attending the Raj Bhoga Aarti on this wonderful day. So you've had nourishment for the soul through kirtan. Before you all go, this is the most life-changing thing that will happen next, better than the kirtan that you're actually listening to. And that is that we're going to be having a Bhagavad Gita class now. So please do remain and listen, Shravanam, Kirtanam. So when we hear, it transforms our vision. And when our vision transforms, then our option changes. And I'm sure many of you, I don't know about you guys, but me, sometimes we feel stuck in life, right? So this is a wonderful occasion to be able to transform completely your psyche, your consciousness, and be prepared for the new year. Thank you all so much. So please do remain. You're not missing out on anything outside. It's just a boring sunny day. This is the real life-changing event because, you know, sun is temporary, everything is temporary. But what you learn here, that's eternal. So try and really nourish your Lakshmi bank account right now. Lakshmi Narayan bank account. Hare Krishna. So if you could just make a space in the little lotus that you see in the center, and then we're going to commence our Bhagavad Gita class that will be given by Bhakta Madan. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
And he's a scholar, so you don't want to miss this. While you're waiting, you can chant Hare Krishna more. Hare. You know, it's like we give so much time to variety of things in our lives, but sometimes we struggle to give 45 minutes of our time to Bhagavad Gita. Now, just let that sink in. You know, so thank you all so much for all those that are choosing to remain. 45 minutes for a lifetime benefit.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me? Okay, loud and clear. All right. So thanks for staying back. We are going to actually have the Bhagavad Gita class, as Prabhuji mentioned. And today's topic is going to be quite interesting because we are going to try to explore the nature of God. Also try to understand who is Krishna and what it really means for us to have this particular knowledge and how we can truly, make the spiritual progress in our lives. So what we are going to do is we are going to begin with a short kirtan, and that's Jai Radha Madhav. So how many of us know the Jai Radha Madhav? Okay, so please do join me, and then we start the class. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Radha Gokulanand Bhagavan ki, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki, Prabhupada ki, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna once again, and for those of you who are joining, who have just joined, this is the Bhagavad Gita class, and today we are going to be exploring the nature of God. We'll also try to explore who is Krishna and what it really means for us to have that particular knowledge in terms of our own spiritual progress. And we are going to be using a gem of a verse which lies quite deep inside in the middle of the Bhagavad Gita, that's in chapter 9, and we'll be doing verse 11. So before we begin, let's invoke, and please do join me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the way we will do this will be, we will read the Sanskrit verse, and then we'll read the word-by-word translation, and then the full translation, and then I will share some reflections and also ask some questions. So I'm hoping that there are at least some of you who will answer, so we make it as interactive as possible, and then we will take it from there. Before we start, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, all of you, for the next couple of minutes. And I'm going to ask you a question. But before I ask the question, and while I ask the question and while I ask you to answer, please do keep your eyes closed. As you look within, try to remember all that you know about Krishna, all that you have heard about Krishna. And I'm going to ask you a question, which is, who is Krishna? And I'm going to give you all 4 choices and you can raise your hands. So Krishna is a great mythological figure from ancient India. That's your first choice. The second, he's a powerful warrior king who lived 5,000 years ago. Third choice, he's a divine God. The fourth, he's the supreme personality of Godhead. So I'm going to repeat each one of those and you can raise your hands if that's the choice that you have made. The first one, a powerful mythological figure from ancient India. If anybody believes this is Krishna, then please raise your hand. Second choice, a very powerful warrior king based in ancient India. A divine God. The supreme personality of Godhead. All right, thank you. You can open your eyes. We did see that there were you raised your hands for the last two, which is the divine God or the supreme personality of Godhead. And most of you did do the supreme personality of Godhead, but there were some of you who did also raise your hand for the divine God. So we're going to unpack this a little bit more. We're going to explore this a little bit more. And we will begin with the Sanskrit recitation of chapter 9, verse 11. And I will repeat I will do it short and then you can repeat after me and then we will see how it goes. Avajananti mamuda manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. We'll do this one more time. Avajananti mamuda manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. Now we'll read this fully and would you like to do the full one as well? Let's see. Avajananti mamuda manushim tanupashritam param bhavajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. That's wonderful, thank you. And I'll read the full one now. Avajananti mamuda manushim tanupashritam param bhavajananto mama bhuta maheshwaram. So that's verse 11. And now we will read the translation word by word. So please repeat after me. Avajananti, deride, mam, me, muda, foolish men, manushim, in a human form, tanum, a body, ashritam, assuming, param, transcendental, bhavam, nature, ajanata, not knowing, mama, my, bhuta, of everything that be, Maha Ishwaram, the supreme proprietor. Thank you. Now the translation. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. I'll repeat it fully. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord of all that be. So how many of you know what's the title of chapter 9? It is the most confidential knowledge, and there is also another, also another term for it, which is Rajaguhya, Rajavidya, Rajaguhya. So Rajavidya is the king of education, and Rajaguhya is king of confidential knowledge. So at this point of time, Arjuna, we have gone through, Krishna has explained all that is there in terms of Karma Yoga in the first 6 chapters. And from 7 onwards, he's talking a little in a bit more detail about Bhakti Yoga. So this particular section, chapter 9, comes part of Bhakti Yoga. And within that, chapter 9 is very special because it's the king of education. So before we do that, it'll be good to know what Krishna has spoken about just before this particular verse. So he speaks about his nature. Of course, he explains this in chapter 7 very eloquently. But in chapter 9, he explains that in a bit more detail. So I'm going to read out the translation of that and of those verses, which is verse 4 to 10. And then, because that will really build into our context of discussion of this particular verse. So let's begin, and while we do this, try to think of what does this mean in terms of nature of God? What are the qualities that Krishna says that he has, which says that he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So I'll begin with text 4 to text 10. Text 4. By me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All things are in me, but I'm not in them. It's quite interesting to unpack this, and a lot of this most confidential knowledge can seem a bit complex unless we have a humble inquiry and unless we have that sincerity that we want to learn more. So what Krishna says here is that all beings are in me, but I'm not in them. And a good analogy for this metaphor that Prabhupada has given is, if you look at the sunshine, so can we, so Krishna is like the sunshine where, he spreads his light and warmth across the universe. And even if he's not there, for example, at night, in the dark when we don't get to see him, we don't get to see the sun, but we can still feel his presence. And that's beautiful. So which means that just because we cannot see Krishna doesn't mean that he's not there. And we can see that he's manifest through the sunshine, and in that sunshine lies all of us. Because if there is no sunshine, if there is no sun, then will we all be there? We are not there. So we are alive because of the energy that the Lord provides, and that's what Krishna says here. If I were to move on. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I'm the maintainer of all living entities, and although I'm everywhere, I'm not part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Now this is quite interesting, because what he's saying here is that I'm the maintainer of all living entities, and I'm there everywhere. I mean, as a God, as a Lord, I'm present everywhere. But I'm still not part of this universe. How easy or difficult it is for us to understand that. It's not very easy to understand, isn't it? And that's what we will try to uncover today. And later on, he also goes on to say, I'll skip 6 and 7, and I'll move on to text 8. What Krishna says is the whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So what does this mean? What does this mean? What does Krishna say here? I'll repeat this. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So the entire cosmic order is dependent on Krishna. So he creates the universe, he maintains the universe, and he also destroys the universe. So today we are at each of the it's called a millennium. So each after every millennium, at the beginning of the millennium, Brahma, who's given the authority by Krishna, creates the universe, and he creates the planets, the universe, the living beings, everyone. And then like it goes on for like a number of years, which is called the millennium. We can't even comprehend the number of years because we probably, for us 100 years is probably a long, but for we are really talking of millions and millions of years. And then when the end comes, that's when like the entire universe gets annihilated and it starts all over again. So what does this tell us about the nature of this material world? It is temporary, because even if it's there for billions and billions of years, one key thing is it is temporary, it's not permanent, and that's something to be aware of. And as a transcendental quality, what do you think is Krishna? Is he also temporary? Krishna is not temporary, so he's permanent and he's eternal. And if I have to think of us as what parts of us are eternal and what parts of us are temporary? Our souls, what are our souls? Are they permanent or are they temporary? They are permanent, absolutely, thank you. So our souls are eternal, and that's our true nature. But what's temporary is the material body that we are in. So what you see today in me, I have got this curly hair, I've got this tilak, I'm wearing this, this green kurta. All this is temporary, but all this is going to go away at some point. So it could be a few years, it could be not. But the soul that lies within each one of us is eternal. But we forget it most of the times, don't we? So that's what Krishna is saying here. And I'll read just one more. And what Krishna says in text 10, which is just before this particular verse comes, is that this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. When we hear all of this, do you think Krishna is an ordinary human being? Definitely not. And even if you were to look at some other pastimes, and I can think of maybe 2 or 3 of the pastimes of Krishna. So, and because it's the month of Kartik, we can think of Krishna as being a baby boy, being loved by Mother Yashoda. So as all children, he's up to no good many of the times, so he's quite naughty. And in this particular, pastime, do you recall that, he puts mud in his, while he was playing, he puts mud in his mouth? How many of us remember that? So, and what happens after that? So when, please.
So then his brother tells his mother that Krishna is eating dirt, and then his mother looks in his mouth and sees the whole universe.
Indeed. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And so exactly like any mother, so the brother tells, Mother Yashoda, and then Mother Yashoda calls Krishna and says, come here, and says, what do you have in your mouth? And then when Krishna opens his mouth, Mother Yashoda can see the entire universe. I mean, all the planets, all the moons, the suns, the living beings, etc. Now, can that happen to through a normal? Can a normal human being do that? Clearly not. So that's one. And then how many of us remember, when Lord Indra was very, very angry because, the residents of Gokul were praying to Krishna and not to Lord Indra. So he got very angry. And what did he do?
So then he started making bad weather, so then Krishna. So then I can't remember the name, but there was this
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Brilliant. Again, definitely good. So this was a time because Lord Indra was very angry and he wanted to, he wanted to punish the residents of Gokul. He brought about this torrential rains because he's the king of the the deva of the thunderbolt. And then the residents of Gokul were very, very worried and they really came to Krishna for help. And he asked them, okay, don't worry at all, you're under my protection. So with this little finger, he raised, Govardhan mountain and everyone, like all the living entities, like the residents, the cows, the goats, everyone came in. And for 7 nights and 7 days, they were protected. And then the story goes that, Arjuna, Indra, Lord Indra, he realized that this is not right. And then he comes to beg forgiveness to Krishna. So all these are when Krishna was very, very small. So what does this tell us? Is he any ordinary human being? Definitely not. But there is also this, but there are scholars who have been looking at Krishna in a very different way. And many of them have felt envious. And some of the commentaries that you see of some of the scholars, although they are very, very renowned, think of Krishna not as the supreme personality of Godhead, but only as a very powerful, a human being or maybe a divine God, but not the supreme personality of Godhead. And that clearly is what does it mean?
They haven't got knowledge of Krishna through a proper guru parampara, so they speculate and then they give like unauthorized information over God.
Absolutely. That's because they have not experienced, who really Krishna is. And so chapter 9 begins very interestingly, and I think I'll probably read it out because it actually speaks about a qualification for acquiring that knowledge. So what Krishna says here, and that's quite interesting for us to note, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, because you're never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence." So what is the qualification that Krishna speaks about here? You should never be envious. So what Krishna says here is that do not be envious of me, and it's only when you're not envious of me that's when you're actually going to be acquiring the knowledge with which you can come closer to me. So it's quite an important part. And let me ask you a question. How easy or difficult it is for you to be envious of someone?
When we don't have what they have, it's easy to be envious of them.
Yeah, okay. And I'm going to introduce one of the terms that Krishna uses here, which is Maha Ishwaram. So that comes in this particular verse. So what does Ishwar mean? Ishwar is a controller. It could be a controller, it could be a proprietor, etc. So how many controllers do we see in our world today? Of course, we know Krishna is the controller, but do we have controllers in the material world as well? Could you give some examples? State head, maybe a president. Anyone else? Anyone who you think controls some things or has got a power of authority? Anyone? You don't need to be shy.
No, so I was just saying, Father Bas, in families, you have a head of family, right?
Yeah, absolutely. A head of family, maybe it could be a patriarch, it could be a matriarch. Yeah, absolutely. Anything from your side? Teachers, yes. Although I wish they had more power to transform the world. They don't have as much of power, but maybe the principal probably yes. But yes, absolutely. So we have a lot of controllers that we see in the material world, and it's quite important because they do the various activities. So you can have someone who's like a director of a company, and the director of the company, makes many decisions that, help, the normal management of the company and helps it achieve its targets, etc. Then you could have, but the director is not, is answerable to somebody else. Who is it? Maybe the board, because then there'll be the shareholders, the stakeholders. So then they'll be controlling what the director or the CEO is doing. But then beyond that is, as you mentioned, the head of the government, because if there is a president of the country, then they can actually make a more impact and they also control. So all in all, we do see that there are a lot of controllers in this particular world, but everyone is being controlled by somebody else. So who is the supreme controller then?
It's our own mind, isn't it? As well. We, everything else, we control that.
Yeah, exactly. So the mind is probably one of the most challenging thing. It's very difficult for us to control that. But even if you have control the mind, etc., and if you look at the controller, can we really say that we have full control over everything? No, right? Even if you're the president of the United States of America, he doesn't control everything, because obviously, for example, if he falls sick, that's not something that he can do anything about, isn't it? So clearly, in the material world, there are a lot of Ishwaras, but what Krishna is, and it's important for us to understand, he's the Maha Ishwar, and that's what he says here, which is, they do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme Lord of all that be. So he's the Maha Ishwar, and let's delve a little bit into the form of Krishna, because that's how many of us. How do we worship Krishna most as? Like, what's when you want to worship Krishna, what's the form that you can worship with? And I can take mine. So for me, in the month of Damodar, Kartik, it's always, Krishna's Bal Gopal, and that has, he has a special, place in my heart. So how else do we worship Krishna as? We can worship him as Puri Jagannath, yes, absolutely. Manmohan or Madan Mohan. Madan is the king of love, and then Mohan is that you can even attract the overpower even the god of love. So any other forms in which you worship Krishna? It could be the two hand. Now look at the Gopas and the Gopis. Look at the residents of Gokul. Did they worship? So they worship Krishna as this little, this cowherd boy, wearing a yellow dhoti and having a peacock feather in his, in his cap, playing the flute. So that's really what the Gopis and the Gopas really love. And some of us really, like him in a four-hand form. So how many of us know that Arjuna, when we come to the later part of the chapter, when we come to the 15th chapter, and Krishna shows, him the universal form, which is a very, very terrifying form, because in that form you can see, all the universe, the planets, the past, the present, the future, everything you can see in that particular form. So clearly, and that's something which is it's impossible for any of us to even comprehend. And then Arjuna says, Krishna, can I just see you in your four-handed form? And then he comes as Narayana in the four-handed form. And then Arjuna says, I think my, my desire has been satisfied, but I do want to see in your two-handed form. And then he comes in his two-handed form. So in all these forms, what's important is that while we do share, as a human form, but it's not truly a human form, it's a transcendental form. And in Brahma Samhita, it says that Krishna is Sachitanand. So his body is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. And that's the form that most of us, we don't completely appreciate. And even when Krishna has come to this particular planet, he has come because of his energy and he has come for a particular purpose, and that purpose has been to save the devotees, to save the Pandavas, and to kill Kamsa. So that was the main, reason, why he descends, to the earth. But many of us, we think, oh, you know what, he's a human being, but he's not really a human being, because his form is so transcendental, and that's really something that if we do appreciate, then we can, truly, have that, bhakti in our hearts. So now that we have a broad idea of who Krishna is, how can we come closer to him? So that's really the last part of what we want to cover today. Bhakti, okay. And how do you demonstrate bhakti?
There's so many forms for chanting.
Chanting is, yeah, absolutely. So so as devotees, we accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We have no misgivings about whether he's like a human, ordinary human being, or whether he's a powerful king, because we know that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there are lots of Vedic scriptures. There are some that Prabhupada says here, but we don't have to go through all of them. But in all the Vedic scriptures, whether it's the Srimad Bhagavatam, it all says is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we have that faith in our heart, then the next step is to really perform some activities, and that can be through chanting, as you mentioned. Is there any other ways by which we can demonstrate that? Listening. So for example, what we are doing today is discussing about Krishna, so listening about Krishna, listening to this verse from the Bhagavad Gita. So these are all ways by which we can do. Any other ways? Because there are 9 ways of doing it. Serving, yes, you can serve. So the manor has lots of opportunities for you to do service, and depending on your capacity, depending on what you like to do, you can serve. So for example, when I first started serving, it was with the School of Bhakti, because I felt educated, because I'm like in HR, I'm in training, so I thought I can probably help in that area. So I started serving in the School of Bhakti, but then there could be some of you who may say, you know what, I want to know more about farming. I want to learn about gardening, farming, how to grow vegetables. So that opportunity is there. Some of us, we love cows, and we would like to serve the cows. And then you have the Goshala, so you can always spend maybe half of your or even full of your weekend just serving the cows, because they'll be very eager to have you. And I recall I was attending this particular I don't know how many of you have been to Ahimsa Farms. And that's in Rutland, which is a few miles further north. So I'd gone there with a group of devotees, and we just wanted to see how cows are being taken care of, because one of the things that we always hear about today is how milk is currently produced in farms which are not very kind to the cows. And it was such a delight to actually see. To go to Rutland, and there were many cows, all free, and we had to offer them carrots. And when we offered them carrots, they came almost galloping like puppies, and it was such a pleasant sight. And my wife and I, Meera and I, we were just thinking, wow, we had never seen cows so happy before. And similarly, even the cows here. So I mean, they are waiting for your love, so you can always serve them in the best way possible. So those are some of the ways by which you can really serve, and then you can come really closer to Krishna. And then we can just pray that he will give you that particular knowledge, and he'll give you that most confidential knowledge that this particular verse speaks about. And in doing so, we can also achieve liberation. Because isn't that we all want to do? We don't want to get into this cycle of birth and death again and again, isn't it? So that's what we want to get out of. So that's all I had to say here. Any questions, any reflections? Anything at all? No? All right. So what we'll do is let's in the next say for the next 5 minutes, let's actually close our eyes and with a sincere heart, let's really do some kirtan. And please do join me. And when we do the kirtan, please sing with all your heart, praying to Krishna to say, please let me not be envious of you. Please give me this particular knowledge as you gave to Arjuna, 5,000 years ago, so that we can all come closer to him and we can all get liberated, because that's what our ultimate aim in this life is. So please do join me for a few minutes and we'll sing the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you all so much for joining, and hope you have a good rest of your visit in the manor. If you have not had prashadam, please, prashadam will be served, so please do have prashadam before you leave. And for those of you who are coming for the first time, we also have in the evening, you can offer a ghee lamp, so you can offer a candle, to the Damodar in the month of Kartik. So today is day 8, so we still have a number of days, and this is also a great time for us to set some spiritual goals, and whatever activities you do in a spiritual way is going to have many more benefits for you. So please do make the most of the month of Kartik, and have a good rest of a good rest of your visit to the manor. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanapano Premamritam Manidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyau Priyakarau Nirmasanau Pujitau Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhubi Bhuva Bharavahantarakam वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुजुग श्रीजीव गोपाल को कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन पर प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि धीरा धीर जन प्रिय प्रियकर निर्मत्सर पूजित नाना शास्त्र विचारणैक निपुण सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरण्याकरं नाना शास्त्र विचारणैक निपुणं सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणं त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणाकरं राधा कृष्ण पदारविन्द भजनानन्देन मत्वालिकं वन्दे रूप सनातनं रघुजुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकं कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि श्रीचैतन्य कृपाभरं भुवि भुव वरावहन्तारकं वन्दे रूप सनातनं रघुजुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकं श्रीगौराङ्ग गुणानुवर्णन विधौ सध्यासमिद्धार्मितं पापत्रापनिकृन्तनं तनभितां गोविन्द श्री गौरांग गुणानुवर्णन विधौ सध्यासमिद्धान्वितं पापत्रापनिकृन्तनं तनभितां गोविन्दगानामृतं आनन्दाम्बुधिवर्धनैकनिपुणं कैवल्यनिस्वार्थं वन्दे रूप सनातनं रघुजुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकं कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नर्तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि तत्त्वातो नमसे समण्डलपति शनि सदा तुच्छव भूत्वादीन गणेशकरुकरुणया कौपीन कण्ठासितौ तत्त्वातो नमसे समण्डलपति शनि सदा तुच्छव भूत्वादीन गणेशकरुणया कौपीन कण्ठासितौ गोपी भावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नौ मुहुः वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुजुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकौ कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन परं प्रेमामृताम्बनिधि कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परो प्रेमामृतांबनिधि गुजर कोकिल हंस संसार सुगन की मयूराकुली नाना रत्न निबद्ध मूल विटप श्रीयुक्त वृंदा